Hi, this is Zahour from SM JUROR, and today we're going to be looking at the juror misconduct issues in the case of U.S. versus Thomas, which is out of the U.S. Court of Appeals in the 8th Circuit out of Nebraska. Some of the points that I want to highlight that we're going to discuss are the presumption that the jury follows the court's instructions, and also prohibitions under Federal Rule of Evidence 606B. Now, in this case, the defendant was convicted for domestic assault and assaulting an intimate partner by suffocation or attempted suffocation. At trial, the jury heard testimony from the defendant's girlfriend that he pushed her on the couch, covered her nose and mouth, and said he would put her out. A neighbor also heard her screaming. After the guilty verdict, the trial court went to thank the jury for their service when they advised that they did not think the defendant intentionally tried to hurt the victim, but was negligent in his actions in trying to keep her from screaming. The word negligent was not used in the jury instructions, but the word reckless was. The trial court informed counsel of the conversation and indicated that recklessness can be inferred from the jury's comments. The defendant appealed his conviction, claiming juror misconduct in the jury's failure to follow jury instructions because the jury's statement demonstrated a lack of intent to support the verdict. Now, looking at the specific jury instruction that was given to the jury, it defines suffocating as intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly impeding the normal breathing of someone, and also indicated that there was no requirement that the defendant intended to kill the victim. Now, when we look at the standard of review for appeals related to juror misconduct, they are reviewed for an abuse of discretion. Also, we want to keep in mind that a jury is presumed to follow its instructions. Now, when we take a look at Federal Rule of Evidence 606B and its prohibitions, it generally prohibits a juror from impeaching his or her verdict, with the exception that a juror may testify to extraneous information or improper influence in the jury room. So that's what we're going to be looking for in this case, whether there was extraneous information or improper influence on any of the jury members. Now, the holding in this case was that there were no allegations that the jury considered extraneous information or was influenced improperly. So the district court acted with its broad discretion in finding the jury followed its instruction, and the conviction was affirmed. Now, let's take a look at some specific facts which were pivotal to the outcome of this case. First, the girlfriend's testimony supports a finding of recklessness. There was sufficient evidence to support the verdict, even if the jury's statement was that the defendant was negligent. So we're going to be looking at all of the evidence to see if the elements of the crime are met. Second, the jury instruction specifically stated in order to find the defendant guilty, the jury need not find that he intended to kill his girlfriend. So the elements of the crime were met without finding that the defendant acted intentionally. So that is the basis of his juror misconduct appeal, that they did not find intent, but the jury instruction specifically said that they need not find intent. And then finally, since there was no evidence of extraneous information or improper influence, Rule 606B prohibits the jury from impeaching their verdict. So the defendant cannot solicit evidence of how they reached their guilty verdict. And that's it for our case law analysis of the juror misconduct issues in this case. Again, this is Zahour from SM JUROR. Thanks for watching. Because the only evidence you want the jury to consider is in the courtroom. See you next time.